Hello and welcome back. This is another eighth grade math video. And for this video, we're going to be focusing on multiplication and division with rational numbers. Okay, here is our first problem. And in case you've forgotten or you're even not really sure, rational numbers are positive and negative, decimals and fractions. So this first one involves fractions. We're going to take negative 1 over 8 and we're going to divide it by negative 1 over 4. Okay, so whenever we're dividing fractions, we use a method called keep, change, flip. Or it could be called something else, but the idea is the same. What happens is we keep the first fraction the same. So I'm going to keep negative 1 over 8 the same. I'm going to change from division to multiplication. And then I'm going to flip the second fraction around so that it is 4 over negative 1. Okay, now I'm going to multiply the numerators. So negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. And multiply the denominator. So 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. Now, a negative over a negative or a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So we can actually simplify this by getting rid of those negatives and having positive 4 over 8. We can also simplify that down to 1/2. So the final most simplified answer to this would be 1/2. Okay, here's our next one. It's going to be negative 1/2 divided by negative 2/3. So again, it looks like I'm dividing these fractions. So I want to use the keep, change, flip method or something just like it, except maybe called a little bit different. K is for keep. So I'm going to keep negative 1/2 the same. C is for change. So I'm going to change from dividing to multiplication. And then flip is for the second fraction. I'm going to flip that around so that it is 3 over negative 2. Now I'm going to multiply my numerator. So negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Okay, so since I have two negatives, I have a negative on top of a negative or negative divided by negative, I know that's going to be positive. They cancel each other out. So I'm going to get rid of those. And then I just have positive 3/4. I can't simplify that any further, so that's going to be my final answer. Okay, here's our next example. It's going to be negative 1 over 20 divided by 1 over 6. So again, we're dividing fractions again. So that means we're going to bring up keep, change, flip. We are keeping the first fraction the same. So negative 1 over 20 stays the same. We are changing from division to multiplication. And then we're going to flip the second fraction around so that it is 6 over 1. Now I need to multiply the numerators. So 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. And 20 times 1 is 20. Now this one, we will not eliminate the negatives because we only have one of them. A negative divided by a positive is still a negative. So we're going to leave that alone. But we can simplify 6 over 20 if we divide both of them by 2. If we do that, we end up with negative 3 here and 10 here. So the final simplified answer here would be negative 3 over 10. Okay, here's our next one. This one is negative 1 and 1/4 times 1/2. Okay, so we're not using keep, change, flip here because this is not division, it's multiplication. But instead, we have a mixed number here. So we need to turn that mixed number, negative 1 and 1/4, into its improper fraction form. To do that, I'm going to keep 4 as my denominator. And to get the numerator, I'm going to do 4 times 1 plus the numerator. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And I have to keep it negative because it was a negative 1. So negative 1 and 1/4 turns into negative 5 over 4. Then we're going to multiply it by the 1/2. We're not flipping it because we're not using division. So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. And then 4 times 2 is 8. Now that only has one negative sign, so the negatives don't cancel out. And 5 over 8 is as simplified as it can be. So this is going to be our final answer. Okay, here is our last example for today's video. We're going to be taking negative 7 over 20 and dividing it by negative 1. Okay, so again, we have division. So we are going to be using keep, change, flip. but we need to have two fractions to do that with. So that means we need to turn -1 into a fraction by putting it over 1. Any whole number over 1 is how you can turn that into a fraction. So that means I'm going to keep -7 over 20 the same. That's the keep. Change from division to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction around so that it is 1 over -1. Now I'm going to multiply the numerators. -7 times 1 is -7. And then 20 times -1 is -20. Now I have a negative over a negative, so that means those cancel out. And I can't simplify 7 over 20 anymore. It's already simplified. So that is going to be my final answer, 7 over 20. All right. Thank you guys for joining me so much. I don't know. I kind of said that weird. Thank you guys for joining me today. Hope to see you in another video soon. Thanks.